Uh, Now, I will speak a few things. One is academic leadership and real leadership, real world leadership. I've seen people study their leadership all the way to PhD, but they still become horrible leaders. Yeah, those ones you don't want to follow. And you even see this with politicians or during politics. Somebody is a professor in something and want people to recognize just that he or she is a professor. And then their reasoning still is ethnic based. Then you wonder if education in this case cannot help you transcend your ethnic cocoon, then how does your education help? Where else? So sometimes people think by so much education, going to class, sitting, learning, that makes them an authority, which is a fallacy. Now, I also picked there again. I'm always very uncomfortable when things are not moving. I don't want to solve the same problem again and again and again. I don't want to speak about the same thing again and again and again. Something is terribly wrong. And that's why, if you realize that, I remember where I worked, my second organization where I worked, I always met our general manager in the elevator, the lift as we are going, or maybe coming back, or occasionally when we meet in the lifts. He was a very distressed man. And the question was why? He wasn't thinking for the organization. You know, a leader should be thinking for the organization, but instead he was involved in the usual firefighting. The organization kept having troubles because we should be solving new problems. If we keep solving same problems, we are not growing. Running away from a problem does not solve a problem. So we've got to take responsibility. And responsibility does not mean you run to safety. It means you look for ways to solve it. Now, politicians, I mentioned there about politics, political leadership. Uh, last general election, somebody said, maybe you ought to have been some deputy governor somewhere. I said, hell no, I can't be in politics, at least for now. I hate uh, political standing, more so party politics. I'm not a politically correct guy. And if something is wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter where it's coming from and who said it. So people will kick me out of their parties unless it's my own party. Yeah, even if it is my own party, I wouldn't like people to just say yes, yes, yes. I usually say, unless you are all sheep, you can't always agree. There must be different opinions, and that's how the best idea will come in. But if you are always a yes, 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 I find it very boring when I get into a meeting where people don't air their views. Yeah, everyone is quiet and mistaking silence for wisdom. It's never like that. You've got to express yourself, you've got to say what you think, and that will build into something, because where two or three people gather together, the Holy Spirit is amongst them. That is, Jesus is amongst them. Meaning, in the context of the world, there is another energy that comes in with better wisdom because you've combined yours together. And positive influence. You know, they say a bad leader, a strong leader will lead people, even if they are taking them to trap, they'll follow him unreservedly. And if you are a weak leader, it doesn't matter whether you are taking them to a party, they won't follow you. And we see that every other time. Sometimes people are ready to die for politicians because they are strong. But I consider that if you're a leader, you should be leading people to the right direction, should be leading people to prosperity, you should be leading people so that their lives are better. If their lives are not getting better, like your son, you're saying, Dr. Eda, life is not improving. People feel fatigued. People feel they are not growing. I can't be in that orchestra where somebody perhaps is the mother of all or the husband of all. Everyone else just picks instruction. That's not leadership. In leadership, we must always ask ourselves, are we getting better? And by the time we are gone, we should ask ourselves, where did I find this organization and where am I leaving it? Is it better? Or at least your position. Yes, is your department growing? So whenever a leader makes a decision, you are making a decision for all the people, for everybody. And your decisions affect even the people surrounding you. When a country makes, like Kenya was making decisions with respect to COVID, that they are shutting the borders, those decisions affect our neighbors, including Tanzania, and it brings in some rift. They choose to be corrupt and testing people, everyone turning out positive. They go to their countries, they are negative. It affects trade. And so we've got to think beyond just our boundaries. And that's what borderless leader is. You don't just think in terms of your family, because we are all members of a society. If I'm only teaching my children and then they are going to interact with other children outside who are not taught, how does that get? Yeah, they will be married, or they'll be living, or they'll be learning together in some institutions with some other people who are not taught. And so leadership should be society wide, not just my boundary. And losing people, well, like you've just given as an example, Dr. Eda, we lose people as leaders when we are not listening, when we are stiff. Yeah, my teacher taught me, don't be stiff, you'll break. Don't be stiff, you'll break. If you're stiff, you'll break. So you will always lose people. We say people quit people, not companies. They quit people. The companies are the same. The companies are neutral. They have no feelings. But the people there can become toxic. And so uh, we've got to be people who develop people. We've got to be people who are a people's people. We are able to work with people and listen to them. The question you should ask yourself, these are one of the first lessons I learned in leadership. Approachability. Can your people approach you and tell you, actually, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I have in my heart? If they can do that, they're not free with you, you're probably not a leader. Yes, they can confide in you, something is not right. And soon they'll shift their allegiance or loyalty to somebody else, somebody they can confide in. With respect to problems, problems should make life sweet. I relate with what Noel is saying. You see, for a long time, when I was experiencing my troubles in childhood, I imagined, is there a life without problems? And then I wanted to imagine, and what is that life like? That there is really no problem, that everything is just flowing. If something is wrong, that's not sweet life. You need life with challenges. Sometimes you get scared. Yeah, sometimes you are not sure of what's coming on, and that's the way we grow. When Peter was called by Jesus to step on water, yes, he started walking, but then he got scared, started looking at the waves. So we learn to focus. Yes, because we know the waves are there. We've got to know, where should we look? And that's the way we grow. If we don't experience problems, we don't grow. You remember last time I was giving an example with tractors and whatever. The more problems we can handle, the better we become, the more powerful leaders we become. And the more people we influence into our fold, the more people we can cause to listen to us, the more powerful we are. And that's why people are now talking about, people talk about the most powerful person on earth. It will always be somewhat US president or the Pope or something, because they have the largest following. Yes. Thank you.